I never thought the day I boarded a flight with my 8-year-old son would turn into a nightmare that ended with federal agents storming the plane. My little boy, Ethan, was finally in remission from leukemia, but he still needed his daily meds without fail. One missed dose could send his counts crashing. That morning, everything was perfect until Karen from the HOA decided to insert herself into our lives one final time. We live in a quiet, gated community, the kind where everyone knows everyone's business. Karen had been the neighborhood enforcer for years, fining people for grass that was half an inch too long, complaining about holiday lights left up past January, screaming at kids for chalk drawings on the sidewalk. She'd had it out for me ever since I painted my front door a shade of blue she claimed wasn't association approved. Petty complaints turned into weekly letters, then anonymous reports to the city. I tried to ignore her, but she was always watching. That particular morning, we were rushing to catch an early flight to Disney World, Ethan's Make-A-Wish trip, the one we'd been dreaming about through 2 years of chemo, hospital stays, and nights I wasn't sure he'd wake up. He was so excited, clutching his Mickey ears, counting down the minutes until we boarded. I had his medication bag packed meticulously, pills organized by day, a cooler pack for the ones that needed refrigeration, doctor's letters, everything TSA required. I checked it 3 times. At the gate, I spotted her immediately. Karen, in her signature visor and oversized sunglasses, sitting 3 rows away, staring straight at us. My stomach dropped. What was she doing on our flight? She lived alone, no kids, no family anyone knew about. I told myself it was coincidence, brushed it off, focused on Ethan's smile. We boarded in the family pre-board group. I stowed our carry-on in the overhead bin right above our seats, row 12, A and B. Ethan's med bag was bright red with a huge medical tag, impossible to miss. I double-checked it was secure, then helped Ethan buckle in and get his tablet ready for takeoff. As the plane filled up, I saw Karen making her way down the aisle. She stopped right at our row, looked up at the bin, then looked at me with this strange little smirk. "Oh, hello," she said, voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Fancy seeing you here." I forced a nod and turned back to Ethan. She shuffled past and took her seat a few rows behind us. Takeoff was smooth. Ethan fell asleep against my shoulder almost immediately. Chemo fatigue still hit him hard some days. I closed my eyes for just a moment, relieved we were finally on our way. About 30 minutes into the flight, I reached up to grab Ethan's water bottle from the bag and realized I needed to give him his noon dose soon. I opened the overhead bin. The red medical bag was gone. My heart slammed against my ribs. I checked again, pushing other bags aside. Nothing. I looked under the seats, in the seat back pockets. Nothing. Panic started rising like bile in my throat. Those meds weren't optional. Without them, Ethan could relapse or worse. I flagged a flight attendant, voice shaking, explained the situation. She looked concerned, promised to search the cabin. Word spread fast. Passengers started checking their own bags. The pilot even made an announcement asking if anyone had seen a red medical bag. No one spoke up. Then I saw it. Karen, 3 rows back, shifting in her seat. Her oversized tote, the one she never let out of her sight, was wedged between her feet. The zipper was slightly open, and I swear I saw a flash of red fabric inside. I stood up, legs trembling, and walked straight to her. "Karen," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "did you take my son's medication bag?" She looked up at me with wide, innocent eyes. Why on earth would I do something like that? But her hands tightened around the tote. The flight attendant joined me. "Ma'am, we need to check your bag. A child's life-saving medication is missing." Karen's face hardened. "This is harassment. I'm not opening anything." That's when everything exploded. I lost it. Told her my son had cancer, that those pills were the only thing keeping him stable, that if anything happened to him, I would never forgive her. Other passengers started murmuring, turning around. Someone shouted, "Just open the damn bag." Karen clutched it to her chest, refusing. The flight attendant radioed the cockpit. Minutes later, the pilot came over the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a serious medical emergency on board. We're returning to the gate immediately. The plane turned sharply, engines roaring as we headed back. Ethan woke up confused, asking why we weren't going to see Mickey anymore. I held him tight, tears streaming, telling him everything would be okay, while my mind screamed that it wouldn't. We taxied to a remote gate, the doors stayed closed, everyone sat in tense silence. Then the forward door opened, and 4 FBI agents in windbreakers boarded the aircraft. The agents moved down the aisle like they owned the plane, faces stone cold, badges flashing under the cabin lights. The lead one, a tall woman with a no-nonsense ponytail, stopped right at Karen's row and said, "Ma'am, we need you to stand up and step into the aisle." Karen went pale, but she didn't move. "This is absurd. I'm not going anywhere until you tell me what this is about." The second agent pulled out a folded paper. "We have a federal warrant for your arrest. Interference with life-sustaining medication across state lines. Stand up now." Gasps rippled through the cabin. Ethan squeezed my hand so hard it hurt, whispering, "Mommy, are they police?" I pulled him close, nodding, unable to speak. Karen finally stood, clutching that tote like a shield. The lead agent reached for it. Karen jerked it away. "You need a warrant for my personal property." "We have one for everything you're carrying," the agent said calmly. She nodded to her partner, who gently but firmly took the bag from Karen's hands. Karen lunged for it, screaming, "That's mine! You can't!" Passengers were filming now, phones up everywhere. A man across the aisle muttered, "She's actually fighting them." I just sat frozen, heart pounding, praying the red bag was inside. The agent unzipped the tote right there in the aisle. First out came Karen's wallet, a scarf, sunglasses, and then, wrapped in one of her sweaters like it was nothing, my son's bright red medical bag. The entire plane erupted. Someone yelled, "She really did it!" Another passenger shouted, "That's attempted murder!" I burst into tears, reaching for it, but the agent held it up, checking the medical tag, then carefully handed it to me. I tore it open. Everything was there. The pill organizer, the cooler pack, the doctor's letters, nothing damaged. I hugged it to my chest like it was Ethan himself. Karen started rambling, voice cracking. "I didn't mean any harm. I was gonna give it back. I needed to teach her a lesson." The agents weren't listening. They cuffed her right there, reading her rights as she kept talking over them. "She's been flaunting those rules for years. The blue door, the unapproved playground set in the backyard, parking her car half an inch over the line. Someone had to stand up for the community." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This woman risked my child's life over paint colors and parking. The pilot came on again. "Folks, we're sorry for the delay. We'll be refueling and continuing to Orlando as soon as the authorities finish." But Karen wasn't done. As they started walking her up the aisle, she twisted around, eyes wild, shouting back at me, "You think you're so special because your kid's sick? Everyone pities you, lets you get away with everything. I've lived in that neighborhood 30 years. I built those rules." A flight attendant tried to quiet her. Karen kept going, voice getting higher. "And that trip, Disney World on everyone's donations, Make-A-Wish, you don't even need it. He looks fine." The cabin went dead silent. Ethan buried his face in my side, starting to cry. I felt every eye on us. Rage boiled up so hot I stood without thinking. My son fought cancer for 2 years. He almost died 3 times. You hid the only thing keeping him alive because you're jealous of a wish trip? Karen sneered even in cuffs. "Prove I hid it. Maybe it fell. Maybe you misplaced it and wanted attention." That's when the lead agent cut in. "Ma'am, we have multiple witnesses who saw you access the overhead bin during boarding. We have security footage from the gate area showing you watching the bag being stowed. And we have your fingerprints all over the medical tag, prints that weren't there this morning." Karen's mouth snapped shut, her face drained of color. They marched her off the plane. The door closed behind them. For a moment, no one spoke. Then a woman in first class started clapping. The whole plane joined in, slow at first, then thunderous. Someone shouted, "Give that kid the best trip ever." Strangers were wiping tears, reaching over seats to pat Ethan's shoulder, telling him he was brave. I sat back down, shaking, checking Ethan's meds again just to be sure. He looked up at me with those big eyes and asked, "Is the bad lady gone?" "She's gone, baby, and she's never coming back."
The plane took off again 20 minutes later. Ethan fell asleep with his head on my lap, Mickey ears still on. I stared out the window, trying to process what had just happened. But the craziest part, the part that still doesn't feel real, was yet to come. Because when we landed in Orlando, there was a voicemail waiting from our neighborhood Facebook group moderator. Karen hadn't just been obsessed with rules. She'd been hiding something way darker than anyone knew.
We landed in Orlando just after noon, the Florida sun blasting through the windows like nothing had happened. Ethan was buzzing again, pressing his face to the glass, spotting the Disney shuttles below. I was still numb, running on autopilot, smiling for him, snapping photos, pretending the morning hadn't almost destroyed us. My phone finally got service as we taxied to the gate. Notifications flooded in, missed calls from neighbors, texts from friends who'd seen the viral videos already circulating online. Someone on the flight had live-streamed the whole arrest. The title trending on every platform, HOA Karen hides cancer kids' meds, FBI storms plane. But one voicemail stood out. It was from Lisa, the moderator of our neighborhood Facebook group, voice shaking. "Call me the second you land. It's about Karen. You need to know why she really did it." I waited until we were settled on the magical express bus, Ethan distracted by the Disney welcome video playing overhead. I stepped into the back row and hit callback. Lisa picked up on the first ring. "Thank God you're safe. Listen, after the news broke, people started talking, really talking. Turns out Karen wasn't just a busybody. She lost a child." My breath caught. 30 years ago, Lisa went on, a little boy, same age as Ethan, leukemia. She fought for him the way you fought for Ethan. Fundraisers, experimental treatments, everything. But back then, the drugs weren't what they are now. He didn't make it. I closed my eyes, pieces clicking together in the worst way. After he died, her husband left her. She threw herself into the HOA, turned it into this fortress of rules. Like if everything was perfect on the outside, the pain would stay buried. But when your Make-A-Wish campaign started, when the whole neighborhood rallied around Ethan, donated money, put up signs, held bake sales, it triggered her all over again. I whispered, "So she hated us because we reminded her of what she lost?" "Worse," Lisa said. "She told one of the board members years ago when she was drunk at a holiday party that she couldn't stand seeing another little boy get the happy ending hers didn't. She said it wasn't fair, that people only cared when it was cute kids on flyers, that her son had been forgotten." Silence stretched between us. "Then your trip got announced, the big Disney send-off, the banners, the news crew that came to the house." She snapped. "One of the neighbors saw her printing fake violation notices about your mailbox height the same week she bought a ticket on your exact flight. She planned it." I felt sick. All that rage, all that terror, it came from a mother's broken heart twisted into something monstrous. "But here's the twist no one saw coming," Lisa said, voice dropping. "When the FBI searched her house after the arrest, they didn't just find stacks of HOA files and old photos of her son. They found a locked, fireproof safe in her closet. Inside were dozens of envelopes, every single donation check the neighborhood ever wrote for Ethan's treatment and the Wish trip. She'd intercepted them from mailboxes over the past year. Over $40,000. She hadn't cashed them. She'd just kept them, like hoarding proof that people still cared about a sick little boy, even if it wasn't hers." I couldn't speak. Tears rolled silently down my face. "She wasn't trying to kill Ethan," Lisa said quietly. "She was trying to stop the world from moving on without her son, to freeze time where people still remembered, still hurt, still fought. Your happiness, his remission, was proof that life goes on, and she couldn't bear it." The bus pulled up to our hotel. Ethan ran to me, laughing, pulling me toward the lobby where Mickey himself was waiting for photos. I hung up, wiped my face, and knelt down to his level. "Ready for the best week ever, buddy?" He grinned, gap-toothed and perfect. "Yeah, Mommy, no more bad ladies." And there it was, the payoff I never expected. Karen's arrest didn't just save Ethan's meds that day. The recovered money meant Make-A-Wish could help 2 more kids. The viral video raised awareness nationwide about tampering with medical supplies, leading to new federal protections. And our neighborhood, they dissolved the old HOA